I was telling the brothers earlier, I used to come up here as a kid back in the 80s. And we used to come up here to Syracuse University for the different wrestling and sports and all of that when we was back in them days checking it out, checking the black people out and what they were doing. And Syracuse at that time was a totally different place than now. Now Syracuse has finally got the full brunt of white supremacy on it. White supremacy have emerged in Syracuse and did what it's done across the country, what Donald Trump is doing across the country, right, which is wiping out blacks, natives, and American Indians and empowering white people.
I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil.
Peace and Black Power. Welcome to another edition of Baba TV, Every Time Firehouse of Consciousness. And it's my absolute privilege to be in the company of this mighty general right here, the leader of the nation, of the I.S.U.P.K. And I'm so glad that he allowed me to give him just a few moments of his time. He's up here in Syracuse, New York today. And General, my first question to you would be, in the time that you've been here, what do you think about Syracuse, New York?
First of all, Baba, I just want to tell you thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate getting together with you. And my cat Mazaniya up here, I had to come up and see him doing it up in here in Syracuse strong, giving brothers the answers to the problem. When I got up here to Syracuse, what I saw was just what Captain Azaniya had been telling me, which is that Syracuse is a microcosm of America. Syracuse is divided by Route 81. One side of Route 81 is filled with blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, and is full of poverty. The other side of Route 81 is filled with all the beneficiaries of Syracuse University, and they live in, lower middle, and upper middle class. And that's exactly what goes on in America. Once again, the white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. We just got to face it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a monster here that doesn't care how much he starves you. And that's what I see the big problem in Syracuse. The problem is, the whole problem in America is that we have taken on the ministers of Christianity, followed every edict from the 60s, and they totally wiped us out. And you think they would have enough heart to say, we was wrong. We led y'all down the civil rights path. We led y'all down the integration path. We led y'all down to the woman's rights path. And now we end up as a people destroyed. But they won't do that. So that's why we gonna do it. So that's what I see the main thing going on in Syracuse. Right or wrong, Cap?
Not one concept.
I was telling the brothers earlier, I used to come up here as a kid back in the 80s. And we used to come up here to Syracuse University for the different wrestling and sports and all of that when we was back in them days checking it out, checking the black people out and what they were doing. And Syracuse at that time was a totally different place than now. Now Syracuse has finally got the full brunt of white supremacy on it. White supremacy have emerged in Syracuse and did what it's done across the country, what Donald Trump is doing across the country, right, which is wiping out blacks, natives, and American Indians and empowering white people. And show you how much it's the same. The same way they killing brothers and locking brothers up here in Syracuse for no good reason many times is the same way they accused that Mexican brother of killing that white woman and saying that they were a bunch of murderers, and come to find out the jury found them innocent. Why? Because the brother never killed anybody. The brother picked the gun up. Imagine this. Donald Trump is a monster. And white supremacists in this country and in Syracuse are monsters. The brother pick up a gun he find in a bag under a bench The gun go off, the bullet ricochet, hit the woman by mistake, and they jump all over the news and call him a murderer and charge him with murder. When the gun wasn't even his, they knew all of this beforehand. The gun wasn't his. He found the gun. He didn't even know how to handle the gun. They had other people's fingerprints on the gun, and they still tried to charge him with murder. And do you think he would get an apology from any of them white supremacists? It's the same happening right here in Syracuse. Unless black people turn away from them preachers and start to listen to the prophets of the Lord, like this man right here. And big shout out to Captain Yahanna doing it up in Syracuse. Big shout out to Captain Tazaryak rolling hard in the conscious community down there in New York City. Big shout out to him as well. Unless you start listening to brothers like these in the I.S.U.P.K, you never gonna figure out the trap that they got us in. They got us in a trap. Now how do you get out the trap? You better know how to spring that trap. And who knows how to do it? These brothers right here. So that was what I want to add to that, Bob. You know what I'm saying?
You took the words right out of my head. I wanted to start out by saying that Captain Yahanna is the blackest, I want to say the blackest brother in Syracuse, New York. And shout out to my captain down in Harlem, Captain Tazaryak. Shout out to Captain Kataza down in Harlem. Shout out to Brother Sarnetta, my big brother. Yes, sir. Like I've been asking our people this, and I'll say, like I said before, like not that we should be too preoccupied with this, but I've been wondering with the one cracker Matt Laurel and the news reporters, what's going on with it? Just seems like one devil after another being accused all of the sudden. Why is Esau doing this to his own kind, especially somebody who worked for him for 20 years? It must be something behind this. Why all at once? You know, is this Bill Cosby, you know, putting something on them? We don't need to be talking about Bill Cosby no more.
Well, here's the thing, okay? What I'm going to say is going to sound a little strange in the beginning until I explain it. But really, we shouldn't be surprised. We should totally and completely not be surprised that this is going on, and I'll tell you why. If you're R. Kelly and you molest tons of kids underage and start a whole cult of underage kids, ain't nobody going to really worry about it. If you are a rapper that's molesting brothers, young 15-year-old boys, like those that we've heard about recently, right or wrong, ain't nobody gonna care about it. If you raping and serial killing black and Latino people all over, don't nobody care. But if you touch a white woman, if you touch the Virgin Mary white milky devil, you going to start World War III. You touch her. Now think about this for a minute. Emmett Till is in the ground dead, and the woman that got Emmett Till killed wrote a book. Less than 3 years ago, she wrote a book saying Emmett Till never whistled at her. Emmett Till died with a head the size of a basketball. Okay? With a head the size of a basketball. Tulsa, Oklahoma. They burnt Tulsa, Oklahoma down to the ground, Black Wall Street, because they said somebody whistled at a white woman. Remember that? Rosewood. Somebody kissed or touched a white woman. Killed black people by the thousands. Lynched them all over Rosewood. So if you touch the white woman, you got a problem. Here's the sad part. The black woman, brainwashed in this society to believe that she's the same as the white woman, receives none of that kind of help. Wow. Let me tell you something that's heavy. General Muhammad brought out. That's so heavy. Do you know that the website that all these women are reporting on was started by a black woman? 15 years ago, a black woman who was molested in the workplace, Baba, turned around and created that website called Me Too. And she created it to expose molestation and assaults of black women in the workplace. For 15 years, None of them black women got any repercussions or any justice or anything as she was putting them on that website. You never even heard of the website. Nobody knew about the website. Women was going on there with tears in their eyes. Black women going on there with tears in their eyes, doing their little report. Then nobody cared about it. You know why this is all coming out now? Some white woman. What's the name of that white woman? Melissa Milano or whatever. Melissa Milano. Some Italian white woman turned around and put that Me Too, that whole website on her webpage. White women saw it and started confessing what happened to them. And a white woman say that she was molested. You gonna get fired from a $25 million a year job at ABC. White woman say she's molested. You gonna be Harvey Weinstein, a multi-million-dollar movie producer, but you going to jail. You touch a black woman, nothing. Nothing. Touch that white woman. Now here's the thing, Baba. You and I could leave out of here today, get in our car and go up the block and get shot by the cops on camera with the videotape, play by play. And they're gonna say, well, we ain't sure that's what really happened. We ain't sure if the officer should even be charged. But a white woman just say you molested her. I ain't seen no proof yet. The only proof I saw was the tape of Donald Trump. They did play that tape. Right. They played the tape of Donald Trump. They ain't even waiting until the case come up. They crucify him. Remember what about the Texan who's running for office? Who them women, 12 women came out and said he molested them and assaulted them. He's still running for office. He said, I'm not giving up. And Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is back in his play. If you touch a white woman, if you kiss, molest, rape a white woman, the world gonna fall on you. Look at OJ. Look at Tiger. But if you do it to a black woman, nobody cares. And here's the thing. If you could be shot dead in the street on camera by a police officer and still not receive justice, and a white woman could just say you whistled at her and you're going to end up in a coffin like Emmett Till, don't tell me America is equal. And for sure, don't tell me the white man ain't the devil. The white man cares about his own. So it ain't a big shock. It shouldn't be a big shock to us. What we should be saying to ourselves is this. Wow. Look at the world implode on itself when white women complain that somebody touched their behind. And look at what happens when we're abused in this place. Look at the value of us. Look at how filthy and small this evil white supremacist world looks at us. To where you die on camera. In front of the cops. Listen, they got a big case in Baltimore right now where some cops, where the district attorney, a police officer was murdered in Baltimore. And he was murdered the day before he was set to testify against a police captain or district attorney or a top attorney who was who was caught planting evidence on a black man. They murdered that cop, and they still can't find his killer. A white woman only got to say somebody touched her behind. Now imagine if it was a white woman saying it about a black man. They dragged Bill Cosby up there immediately because of them white women. Where's R. Kelly at? R. Kelly making music in Florida in some occult somewhere with 15-year-old girls, and ain't nobody saying nothing. Right or wrong? So, you see what I'm saying? That's the real difference about sluts.
General, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. Those were the two main questions that I have. And like I always say, it's not a family until everybody is in the house. And that's why everybody has a place on Baba TV. And anything that you would have to talk to our people, any last words that you might want to teach our people, go right ahead, sir.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. If I could get that one scripture I pulled earlier. Lamentations, right. I tell you what. Give me Psalms 140 and 5, 140 and 4. Psalms 140 and 4, real quick. Somebody read that to me. Black people, Latino people, Native Indian people need to start thinking like David thought. David knew the situation he was in, and he acted accordingly to that situation. And this is what David said, being in the same situation. 140 and 4. Read that for me, Captain.
Psalms 140, verse 4. Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked.
You see that? We got to have our mindset to call on the Lord to keep us from the hand of the wicked, man. This wicked monster is eating us alive. That is why one side of Syracuse is in utter poverty and drug infestation, while the other side, and here's what's so ironic about it, Baba. Check this out. The wealthy side of Syracuse is making all their money from Syracuse University. Syracuse University is making all its money off of 11 black men that get on that field. So it's black men on the field that's making the university rich, and the university is feeding, housing, clothing all of its people, while the very people that they got the golden goose from, blacks and Latinos, sit on the other side of I-81 in utter poverty. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they didn't understand that. Now, David said, keep me from the wicked. Go ahead,
Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man.
Right, preserve me from the violent man. That old Harvey Weinstein, they said they want to bring charges on him because he didn't just want to have sex with them. He wanted to rape you. Even if you was willing, he had to beat you up and rape you. Beat and abuse you up. That's the kind of animal he was. And the rest of them, you got $25 million. You got to rape and molest women? Only a beast do that. And here's what we should really be looking at. All these top rich, wealthy people, white people, who turned around and doing all this raping on their own women. What was they doing in the slave quarters on us? These is them same wealthy white men that had plantations and everything. What did they do to us? We always talk about that little story in Roots. They was mass raping us. They was running trains and gang raping and triple timing. They go out and send 3 guys out to go catch a slave. He catch one of the brothers, drag him back in chains. As a reward, they send him in his tent with his woman and let the 3 or 4 guys rape his woman while he outside in chains, beaten and battered and crying that he dragged back to the plantation. They punished him. They mad at that old crazy Korean, because they said if you do something, if you a soldier in his military and you run out and run away from North Korea, they punish your family. Well, that's what they did to us in slavery. If you ran away and didn't want to be a slave, they rape your woman, man. Rape her till they kill her sometime. If you got a 15-year-old girl, they'll rape her till they bust her open. She had to be stitched up by the midwife, man. So think about what was happening to us because of the laws, and because we in such poverty, and because they look at us as such filth. That's the only reason them rich Matt Lauer and Charlie Rose and Weinstein and what's that old Bill O'Reilly and the rest of them nasty, Donald Trump, the president, El Presidente in rape in charge. You understand? And what an animal. Did you hear the tape? What an animal. You grab her. He don't even say you don't kiss him and hug him and touch their behind like a man's supposed to. He want to grab them right in the vagina. They animals, man. They animals, and they had their will with us, which is why we got to shake off the old mind. We got to get into the mind of these bad brothers like Captain Cesaria, like my main man right here, Captain Azania. You understand? My son, you know what I'm saying, in the spirit of the Most High. This is the cats we need to be listening to, man, and getting the understanding from them. Because David knew, keep me away from them wicked cats. We so love to be in their face. We be acting like we all radical and this and that until we get around them, and then we want to get in their face and sit in their restaurant in love with their white woman. You better leave that white woman alone. You see, that is a one-way ticket to the jail or death. You understand? And furthermore, where's your conscience at? If you conscious enough to know about you and your people, you should be conscious enough to know that if you're going to pull anybody up, if your hard-earned resources is going to go to anybody, it should be going to your woman. You shouldn't even want that woman. You should be looking at your woman, and you should be expecting to deal with 10,000 more problems than you would with the white woman. Of course you're dealing with problems with the black woman. She's in poverty like you. She fighting drug addiction like you. She coming out of a broken home like you. She dealing with the white man like you. Go on and let that woman come in and bring that family together. Let me just finish this scripture if I could.
Preserve me from the violent men who have proposed to overthrow my going.
You hear that? He said, who have proposed to overthrow my going. Here's what black people in Syracuse don't know, and they ought to know. They ought to say to themselves, where am I going to move in the next 3 to 5 years? Because certainly I'm not going to live here. Why? Because certainly they coming across I-81 to take me out of here. Right. This man is watching their steps. He ain't making the poor side of Syracuse poor for no reason. Why buy your house for $150,000 when he can get it for $25,000 after he starve you to death? Right. Why not wait for it? Go ahead,
The proud have hid a snare for me and cords. The proud have hid a snare for me and cords.
You hear that? They done hit a snare. Just like you put a booby trap in the jungle to stop a man that's trying to move through the jungle. There's a booby trap laying here. It's called crack. It's called oxy. It's called welfare. It's called all the evil. It's called the police department. Right. Okay? It's called protect and serve. It's called the Christian church. It's called a politician. Wake the hell up in this evil place, man. Right. Stop loving this system and this society, man. Let me finish this up right quick, y'all.
They have spread a net by the wayside.
You hear that? David understood his enemy. He knew they was trying to get him. He wasn't cheesing up on them. He was trying to get away from them, getting his brothers away from him, separating from them, building himself up, bringing his families together. That's what the I.S.U.P.K does. That's what this man up here, you heard it from Baba himself. This is the most hardcore, blackest, realest brother in Syracuse, New York, right here, Captain Mazana Yaba. That's it on that verse? That's the end of that?
They have set gains for me.
That's it. So that's what I want to tell them. I appreciate it too, Bob, for coming through and hollering at us up in here, man.
Thank you, Jim. One last question. It's my understanding, are you a Benjamite, sir?
That is correct. I am a Benjamite.
What part of the island?
My father's side is from the Bahamas, and my mother's side is from St. Thomas. So okay. I'm Benjamite on both sides.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Also, tonight at 7:00 p.m. You can visit 313 East Glen Avenue. Okay, we're going to have General Mahaiman class. Also, 9:00 p.m. Commanding General Yahanna, always on fire. The last of the angry black man, the grill. All right, tonight.
All right.
Now, on that note, I want to say peace, shalom.